Hello, hello, hello. Let's see here. We'll just see if everything's working. All right, let me pull up the stream. Someone in the chat is saying YouTube live streams are weird. That is absolutely correct. I am late to class, lads, by 2 minutes. We had some technical difficulties here. YouTube live streams are a real fun time. And by fun time, I mean they're very irritating. And I'm also still not quite sure how Twitch works, so still figuring that one out. Let me just pull up the stream on my other computer here so I can make sure everything's good. Can everyone hear me all right? Someone's asking what I'm on right now. I'm assuming that's the computer. I'm on the 2020 iMac, which I've been using for a couple of weeks now, and it's really solid. You know, the base model iMacs have always been a little bit kind of meh, but this one's pretty good. So apologies for the late start. Let me just make sure that this is all set up correctly. Okay. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How many people do we have right now? Let's pull this up. Gosh, there's a new YouTube broadcast studio. It looks like this. It's not great. It's a little bit confusing, to be perfectly honest, and it's quite hard. Actually, the most annoying thing is it's very hard to find the super chats. So someone had just said something, but I can't quite see it. All right, we've got some people in Twitch too. Hello, everyone who's on Twitch. Shamelessly promoting Twitch at this point because that's where we're gonna do the majority of live streams. I'll be double streaming like this most of the time, but anytime there's an Apple event or really any event, it's gonna be on Twitch. So follow Twitch. Thank you for the super chat. Let's see here. I think there might have been another one that got buried in here. Okay, here we go. 1 sub before 2021. I don't know, guys. That's a tall order. Okay. Someone's saying the lag is real. Yeah, I don't know what's going on right now. Is my camera being annoying? So I've got a new capture card that is a little bit finicky, and it looks like the frame rate is just not good. I'm looking at my preview window here. Yikes. Okay. So, as you can probably tell from the title of this video, this live stream, I should say, today is my 10-year anniversary on YouTube. It is very, very crazy. I have not given it. I mean, it's honestly, it's unbelievable to think that I've been on this platform for 10 years and the amount of stuff that has changed, both for the better and for the worse, in the past 10 years. Someone was asking if this was my original YouTube channel. It is not. This is, I think, actually the 5th YouTube channel that I've started over the past 10 years. Obviously, none of them really went anywhere. You probably would have heard of it by now. I don't really promote them because they're totally gone. Someone's asking me, do I have Italian roots? Yes, all of them. My grandparents came through Ellis Island in the 1930s, so I'm second or third generation. I don't know what the generation is. Yeah, so I started YouTube 10 years ago, my parents' basement, doing Lego stop motion videos that I recorded with an $8, very, very basic USB webcam. And I did stop motion animation through this little MSI Wind netbook thing. It was very terrible. It was one of those, you guys remember back in the netbook days, it had an Intel Atom, one gigahertz, I think, one core. It had half a gigabyte of RAM and a 20 gigabyte hard drive with Windows XP on it. And that's where I did my Lego stop motion. I edited them. I convinced my parents to buy iLife 11 because our Mac we had beforehand, and that was back when you had to buy new versions of iLife. So with iMovie 11 or iMovie 09, I think I might have started on a 2007 20-inch Intel iMac that my parents had gotten refurbished, and that was like the only computer that we had, replacing our original PowerPC Mac Mini. That was the first computer. That was the first Mac that I ever used in 2005. Someone says, thanks for the info with Apple products. Thank you, Silver, for the super chat. I appreciate the support. Someone's saying, I have one of those. I don't know if they're referring to the 2007 Intel iMac or the MSI Wind netbook, but either way, great machines. That MSI netbook got a lot of mileage, surprising amount of mileage given how absolutely underpowered it was. So it's been 10 years on this platform, which is honestly unbelievable. So the goal for today's video is we're kind of going to talk about what 10 years on YouTube means, what that does to you pretty much. And kind of go through some advice and have a bit of a dialogue about what it's like to get started on YouTube, because it can be really rewarding and it can be really, really frustrating. So hopefully we'll get to that. We've got another super chat here. Happy 10 years. Please open a real Davenport Emporium. That's a good one. If you guys haven't seen it, if you haven't followed me on Twitter, I posted a little sketch that I made called Gavin Gavel's Davenport Emporium. It was sort of a character that I came up with out of nowhere a couple of years ago. So I made a video about it that people enjoyed on Twitter. Maybe I'll upload it to YouTube one of these days, just with no context, because it's like a parody of those going out of business furniture clearance stores. I think that would be kind of funny. Oh, here's a good question. What was your first laptop? My first laptop was a 2006 Toshiba Satellite A105. I found it on the curb. Yes, funny enough, that was in the mid-2000s. Laptops did not last very long, so it wasn't uncommon to see people just kind of buying a cheap laptop and then getting rid of it somewhat quickly. So it was on trash day in my neighborhood growing up. We had these days where you could basically just put crap that you don't want on the curb, and then the municipality would just collect it. So there was like about a week where everyone just like put the stuff that they don't want on the curb, and you could just go around and like, it wasn't garbage trash, it was just like stuff, and you could just go around and be like, oh, that's cool, I'll take that. So I got some like speakers from it. I got a record player and a whole bunch of LPs. And I got my first laptop, which was that 2006 Toshiba Satellite A100. Let me see if I can find a picture of it. Toshiba Satellite A105. See if we can pull up an image of it. It was teal. This is a teal laptop. It was very strange. Let me share my screen here, show you guys what we were working with back in 2007. So this is pretty much what it looked like. Yeah. Oh man, this is some nostalgia. I remember always being very confused about this laptop, about why it was so remarkably hideous, with like this weird, like it was tapered by the USB ports, and then by the DVD drive it wasn't. It was a very strange laptop. It was a very slow laptop. It was the kind of slow where you had to change the settings in Windows XP to get it to run smoothly. I had to turn off like any sort of graphical acceleration because it couldn't do that. I think it had a Pentium of some sort, single core, 1.8 gigahertz, maybe half a gig of RAM. It was. Someone says Dave 2D teal. I wish it was that shade of teal. It was disgusting, that color. But all plastic. It lasted about 4 minutes when you unplugged the power cord. So, man, that thing was fun. It could just barely play a YouTube video back in the day. So that was fun. My first Apple device. Let me pull that up here. Someone asked, what was my first Apple device? That was, I believe, like my personal first Apple device was the iPod Touch 4th generation back in 2010. That was a fantastic, fantastic little thing. That was sort of in that transition period before the iPhone was really accessible. So, I had like the slidey bar phone and then the iPod Touch. And that was sort of the best of the iPod Touches, in my opinion, because once you got after that, once you got into like 2013, 14, iPhones were already kind of widespread and you didn't really need an iPod Touch as well. So that was really what started it. Someone's asking, what made you do tech videos? Well, quite frankly, I started on YouTube doing Lego stop motion. Then after that, I did very cringy sketch comedy, which is the most generous term that I could possibly think of to describe that YouTube channel. And then I did have a channel for a while in like 2012 or 2013 where I was trying to do like tutorials, basically just like screen recording my MacBook through QuickTime Player. And I did some stuff like, what did I do? I did like tutorials, like how to find your Minecraft folder. I only made like 4 videos for that channel and then I gave up because it didn't go anywhere. And then after that was channel 3. Then I had another one. And then this channel was 2015 is when I started. So we're about 5 years on this channel and a decade overall. And I think, I'm sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit here, but someone asked, what made you do tech videos? I've always been interested in tech. I've always been interested in Apple. I think, quite frankly, it's probably Apple propaganda is the reason why I'm interested in Apple, because the school that I went to, all growing up, was Apple laptops. When we switched over to MacBooks, that was the fun time when we got the polycarbonate MacBooks. And then we had the computer lab that had a couple of Sunflower iMacs. I always thought those were the coolest things ever. And so then my family, our first computer in 2005 was the original Mac Mini, the PowerPC G4. I think it was a G4 Mac Mini. And then after that was that Intel iMac, which was what I edited all of my videos on for the first couple of years of doing YouTube in iMovie. And then my first MacBook that I bought in 2012 was a refurbished late 2011 model, MacBook Pro unibody, 13-inch. I love that thing. That actually, so I bought that in 2012. That was the first, I saved up. That was replacing the Toshiba Satellite. And from there, I had just always loved Macs. That was the first one that I owned. And so that was the one that started this YouTube channel. It was the one that ran most of the other YouTube channels. So it was really that sort of all led into me being interested in tech. And when I started this channel, I was just not super focused on tech specifically relating to Apple. But as I moved along, and we can talk into that. I did have a stream where I sort of talked about YouTube, and I kind of went through the chronology of the videos that I've posted on this channel. I'm not going to do. We'll see if anyone wants me to go through. I can kind of talk about that when we talk more about how YouTube works. But man, I was trying to find it. Someone had a really great question that I wanted to talk about. And sort of go into YouTube. I guess we can save that for later. Let's just go through the chat right now. What is my favorite Mac of all time? I think probably the mid-2012 is the best Mac of all time, but I think my favorite is either my first unibody MacBook Pro or the original PowerPC Mac Mini. That was kind of what got me into Apple in the first place. First PC laptop upgrade that you did completely by yourself. So for the 2011 MacBook Pro, it came with 4 gigabytes of RAM and a 750 gigabyte hard drive. I actually never updated. I never put an SSD in that thing. I had it until 2015, and I never, because the SSDs were still very expensive in 2015, much less before then. And so I used a lot of those 750 gigs. It was the Core i7 model, by the way. And so I was like, well, I can't really afford to put in an SSD because it would have to be larger than 750 gigs, and I could not afford to spend $400 or $500 on a 1 terabyte SSD back in the day. And then I did, the one upgrade that I did do was I bought an 8 gigabyte RAM stick from iFixit, and I brought it up to 10 gigabytes of RAM. I probably should have done a dual. I should have done 4 and 4 for 8 instead of doing 8 and 4, 8 and 2, I think, actually, which is a little weird. But yeah, so that was the first update that I've ever done. Let me keep on going through here. Okay. Someone's asking, will I buy the first ARM Mac? Of course. Of course. I'm going to buy pretty much every ARM Mac, let's be honest. Someone's asking, do I think the 13-inch MacBook Pro will get Apple Silicon? Yes. October, Apple Silicon MacBook Pro. Not a redesign. Full redesign will be later. Maybe we'll make another video about that. Anyway, back onto the original topic here. Are you a full-time YouTuber? Well, not technically. I'm a student. I'm in university. So not technically, like I don't have another job, but I'm not a full-time YouTuber, if that makes sense. This summer, I was a full-time YouTuber because I wasn't able to get any other work. So it was something that I don't think I would do full-time because I'm a very social person and I cannot subsist just making videos here in the studio all the time. So I don't intend on becoming a full-time YouTuber unless I can do it in some sort of like a group of people and something like that. So we could do that. Someone's asking, what am I studying? I study public relations. That is my major. So let's see here. Let's get back on track here. So yeah, 10 years at YouTube. Yeah, extrovert problem. Someone says, yeah, I am an extrovert and I make lots of videos and I enjoy my alone time here in front of the camera making videos. Not that we're really alone right now because there's 350 of you watching on YouTube. But regardless, I do enjoy socializing, which has been really fun during this pandemic. Let me just go ahead and check the Twitch chat. Give those guys. There's only 25 people on Twitch, so everyone's having a good chat over there. Let's see if we can get some. Okay, chat's not loading here, which is fun. Yay! Lul. It's me, Lul Miani. Someone said age. I don't know why. I'm 21. Not that it really matters. That information is available on the internet. You can look it up. Favorite iPhone of all time? That's actually tricky. I was going to say the iPhone 5 because that was my first iPhone. But I think the 6 Plus was probably my favorite just because it was so different than anything that I had ever seen before. Someone had a good question here. Where was it? Someone asked my name on Twitch. It's Luke Miani. Should be pretty easy to find. Not super creative. Let's go down here. All right. So I'm trying to think of that. I had a whole plan when I started this stream, but I completely blanked on the order that I wanted to talk about. Someone's saying that the stream is lagging. I don't know if there's anything I can really do about that. I've tried to fix the camera. Maybe if I switch resolutions there. Is that a little bit better? Maybe? Okay. That's really all I'm able to do about that at this time. Someone's saying we are the least favorite child in the Twitch chat. That is not true. Twitch chat is just, it's the newest platform. I really don't know exactly how it works, so I'm still working on that. But hopefully I'll get that figured out by the time we have the Apple October event. So, all right, at this point, okay, here's what we're gonna do. Let's pivot and talk about what it's like being on YouTube for 10 years. Now, obviously, I've not been on YouTube professionally for 10 years. I think that's a pretty important distinction. Um, there's a difference between, just kind of making some Lego stop motion videos and uploading them just basically just for fun during summers and after school in middle school, and what I'm doing now, which is actual legitimate YouTubering, I suppose. Now, that first YouTube channel was actually where I got my first YouTube paycheck, which is interesting. So 2010 YouTube was very, very different than it is right now. And, ooh, hang on a second. I do want to put this up on the stream because I'm going to address this shortly. So I will come back to this particular point because I think it's a very interesting conversation. Okay. This is an interesting idea. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. I'll consider it. I'll look into that. We'll see. I don't super enjoy the idea of doing paid content. I've never done paid content before, and I feel like the expectation would be very high, and I don't want to let anyone down. So, obviously I don't have any problem with people that monetize content, and maybe someday I'll get into paid content, but I'm not entirely sure. So, where was I? Oh yeah. So that first YouTube channel taught me a lot, and it's very interesting how different 2010 YouTube was. So in 2010, there was no requirement for being monetized. You basically just had to verify with a phone number, make an AdSense account, link it, and that was it. You didn't have a sub requirement. There was no view requirement or watch time. You could just get monetized. And the ad rates were way lower, way lower, and you wouldn't really make very much, obviously, because I had 80 subscribers was really where I peaked with my original YouTube channel. 80 subscribers was what I got up to. I did it for like a year or two, I think. It was a little bit easier to get notified or to get noticed on YouTube in 2010 because it was a lot smaller. And I think really the biggest thing that has changed about YouTube in the past 10 years is that it is no longer a platform that is meant to foster independent creators. That is just a fact. YouTube is no longer built such that it promotes new upcoming content creators. In 2010, it was very, very different. Videos could, quote unquote, go viral more easily. Everyone was sort of on the forefront of whatever was going on. That was sort of peak Smosh days. That was back with who were the other big ones? Jenna Marbles. There's a whole bunch of like the OG YouTubers, and they were sort of trailblazing the idea of YouTube as a job because 2010 was right when that was starting to be an actual thing. But what was really, really critical was that YouTube was for small creators, and it no longer is about that anymore. Even just in the 5 years that lapsed between me uploading my first video and uploading the first video to this channel, a lot changed. The sad truth is that a lot of success on YouTube comes from being there early and being there a long time. Now, when I started this channel, it was basically from scratch. I had no notoriety on the platform. Even though it was my 4th or 5th YouTube channel, it's not like I had anything to build from. A lot of YouTube channels that do like really, really well, really, really quickly, and that kind of make you go, wow, interesting. That channel kind of came out of nowhere. Almost 100% of the time, that's not true. So that's where I want to go back to that comment from earlier, which I'm trying to find in the chat, but I think is long gone. Essentially, the thing is, anytime you see a channel that quote unquote blows up, there is a lot more going on there than, you know, making good quality content, getting picked up by the algorithm, and running away with it. It is extremely, extremely rare to just blow up out of nowhere. So someone had asked in the chat, what was it like? At what point did you know that you were going to blow up? At what point did your channel blow up? The answer is never. There was never a point of blowing up, and in fact, most content creators don't see themselves at whatever position they're at having blown up, quote unquote, to get there. If that makes sense. There's not really, like, there are inflection points where you sort of realize, okay, this is something that I can continue to do. All right, this is something that causes channel growth, but it's very rare to just come out of nowhere. And so the problem is a lot of people, when they go to make a YouTube channel, see other creators who have had massive growth in a short period of time and think, okay, I can make content like this. This is something I'm interested in. This is something that I enjoy doing. I know how to video edit. I kind of have a general feel of what I'm doing. I could probably do this. And the thing is, it's just not quite how it works. So, like, for example, a lot of people, I posted a poll a while ago. In fact, I can go pull this up while I'm talking, because I was just kind of curious. You know, we're at 200,000 subscribers. This poll was from a while ago, but I was sort of wondering how recently everyone has gotten here. So let me pull up this. This is from 4 months ago, so it's an old poll. We'll share the screen. There we go. So here was the poll that I posted a couple of months ago because I was really curious about how recent the audience is. And this was actually very surprising to me. It makes sense considering that most of my sub growth has happened in 2019 and 2020, but it's this weird thing that creators get where we still very vividly remember the good old days. Like 2015, 16, 17 videos are very fresh in my memory, and I still think of them as recent. Recent in some senses, but the thing that's crazy is you don't make the connection that only 8% of your audience was there in 2017. The fact that less than a fifth of you guys have been here in 2018, that's actually mind-blowing to me. This thing absolutely blew my mind, and it was even crazier seeing people in the comments saying, what about 2020? I didn't even consider that. And yet at this point, statistically, I think probably half my audience has been here only since 2020, which is insane. Because I hit 100K right at the very end of 2019, and then we just hit 200K a couple of weeks ago. So it really blows your mind when you sort of put things in perspective like that. And I think that's really important to keep in mind, because a lot of people will look at a channel like mine and say, wow, he blew up, right? In the last 8 months, I've doubled my subscribers. That seems like blowing up. And regardless of whether it's, 5 to 10, 500 to 1,000, regardless of the scale, if you double in a period of time, that's going to feel like a substantial improvement. But what gets lost in that is that there were 4 years before that of making videos. There were 250, 350 videos that came before where I quote unquote blew up. So no one blows up out of nowhere. Sometimes people bring in an audience from another platform. Rene Ritchie, for example, he spent quite a while building his channel working with iMore, and then he went independent, and he has since gained 120,000 subscribers in just a couple of months, and it's incredible. And you look at that, and on the one, it's great, and any creator who has that happen feels really, really grateful to be in that position. And it's unfortunate for people looking in from the outside who are trying to start a YouTube channel but aren't necessarily able to see that growth. I've been on here for 5 years. Other channels have been on here for a lot longer than I have. Some channels that are new get started through, maybe in partnership with another YouTuber. Maybe they are an analyst from some existing publication, and you can basically funnel other sources into YouTube. And that's not something that you can do when you're starting from scratch. That is not something that I was able to do. In May of 2015, when I started this channel, nobody in the tech space had any idea who I was. I was just a guy. I was just some kid who made a YouTube channel, made a Twitter account. I made a Facebook account because I thought I might need that. Turned out I didn't, and I deleted it. But just very, very simply, that's just the way that it goes. And it's a really, really slow and painful process. In the first year of doing YouTube, I gained 100 subscribers. It was 50 or 100 videos. No, probably 50 videos. Maybe a little less than 50 videos because I don't think I did one a week back in 2015. But I did, 40 videos in a year, and I got probably less than 10,000 views and less than 100 subscribers. And then from 2015 to 2016, I made it to 1,000 subscribers, I think. Yeah, I think I hit 1,000 at like the end of 2016, something like that. And when you hear about that from the outside, if you're trying to start a YouTube channel and someone says it's going to take you 2 years to get 1,000 subscribers, they're going to, you're probably going to be justifiably skeptical. You're going to say, wow, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of effort to put in. And in those early days, the first 40 or 50 videos that I uploaded was weird because it feels like you're yelling into the void. You make these videos, you put a lot of time in, and then nobody sees them. You'll go days and get 4 views, 1 like, and 0 comments. And it can be really, really demoralizing. And that can happen really, really easily. I'm just going to enable slow chat because it looks like people are complaining in the chat about spamming. Let's try not to spam in the chat. Okay, slow mode is now on. Hopefully people will stop doing that. But so yeah, I think it's really important if you're doing YouTube, just keep in mind that it's a long road. It's a long and slow road. And I think the best advice, and I'm not trying to discourage people by any means. I think that anyone who is interested in putting out what they make on the internet, I think everyone should make a YouTube channel. If you can video edit, if you've got stuff to talk about, do it. Go for it. You never know what could happen. When I started making stop motion videos, I didn't know that I would be here. I mean, 370 people are watching right now on YouTube and another 37 on Twitch. 400 views, 400 roughly or so. That's more than most of the videos that I got. That's more views than most of the videos that I uploaded for the first 7 years of doing YouTube got. So you never know what could happen. And I think it's important to keep in mind that the most important audience member when you're making YouTube videos is yourself. You should make videos that you want to make, that you enjoy making. It shouldn't matter if 1 million people or 0 people watch them, because what matters when you're starting out on YouTube is whether you enjoy it. It's the best way to make sure that you enjoy your time on YouTube. Because quite frankly, if I had started this YouTube channel in 2015 going, I want to gain 218,000 subscribers and do some live streams and talk about Macs, and I had gone in with that vision and said, this is what I want to do, I guarantee I would not be sitting here right now. Guarantee I would not be sitting here. Oops, iMac Pro is going to bed. I'll be right back. back. I guarantee that if I had not, if I had been trying to do what I'm doing now 5 years ago, I would have given up in like a month, because if you're not seeing any reaction to the stuff that you're putting out, it feels bad. There's no way to sugarcoat it other than it feels bad. And quite frankly, I can't really speak to creating a YouTube channel now, because that's something that a lot of creators, once they get big, they try to say, oh, well, now that I'm here, let me tell you what I did so that you can do it too. But that's not how it works. There's no formula for doing YouTube. There's no specific like 5-step process that you can pay $20 for some class and then have some person teach you how to make a YouTube channel and make money from it. That's not possible. And especially when it's from creators, even ones more recent than me, that are like, here's how you get started on YouTube in 2020. If you're already on YouTube, and you already have a place of some notability, then you already don't know what it's like to start a YouTube channel anymore, because you're in the past. 2015 YouTube wasn't, I don't even know how different it was from now YouTube, because I've not started from scratch since I started from scratch in 2015. So yeah, there's YouTube Creator Academy, but it's not helpful. If you need to learn how title tags description works, if you need to learn sort of just basic frameworks of YouTube, then there's definitely helpful things, but there's no way that someone can teach you strategy that will work specifically for you. People are like, oh, you got to upload 4 times a week. That is arguable. That's the biggest thing that I see. It's like, you got to set a schedule, do 2 uploads a week, and then just like pump out the content. Even if you have good content, even if you have frequent content, that might not get you there. So in fact, I would say that if you stress yourself out trying to make 2 or 3 videos a week, you're probably going to get demoralized faster, because you're going to be putting in even more work, just busting your butt to get content out. And it's just going to make whatever rate of growth, even if it's increased, it's still going to feel like less than what you deserve. And a lot of people, I know a lot of people that uploaded a ton of videos and just like really blasted out content and then just gave up because they were so exhausted. It happens all the time. So what you really got to do is find a balance between the right amount of content that, if you want to pursue YouTube, that will help you in some way, but more importantly, the content that you enjoy making. It shouldn't feel like a burden to do YouTube. I think that's probably the best sort of blanket advice that I could give you. And it's not really a specific, like, here's how to get big. It's just like here's how to take care of your mental health and ensure that you're putting yourself first, instead of putting your audience that might not even exist yet first. Okay, so that's sort of my spiel about starting on YouTube. If you have any questions about that, put that in the chat. I'm trying to keep my eye on chat here. Someone's asking, did you have a point where you felt like you would fail? So that's something that I don't know if other YouTubers get this feeling, but because YouTube is very day-to-day and month-to-month, did I ever have a point that I would fail? Absolutely, all the time. I had one in July. I had, there's always a point where you feel like you're going to fail, because it happens. Sometimes YouTube channels will get like this crazy good run up and then just like peter out and fade away. Sometimes, it just doesn't work out. And there's no way to know for sure whether that's going to happen. We like to say, okay, I've gotten, growth over the past year. Maybe if I can continue that, and you sort of project video ideas in the future and where you might be. But the truth is, anything can happen. And there's no specific inflection point where you say, oh no, I'm done. it could be a slow decline, it could be a burnout. There's so many different ways that it could go. So, to answer that original question, did you have a point where you felt like you would fail? I've had so many of those points. As basically, as soon as you get, and that's actually something that I think is pretty interesting whenever a channel blows up. Blowing up is the most rewarding and also the most terrifying thing. I personally don't consider myself to have blown up. There are loads of channels, thousands of channels who have had faster sub growth than I have, but I've definitely gained a significant following in a relatively short period of time. And the most frightening and frustrating part of that is when you have a couple of videos or you have this really awesome month, the best month of your entire career on YouTube. That's so exciting. You watch the views come in, you're like, yes, this is it. It's finally happening. And then you think, uh-oh, what do I do next? What comes next? What do I do? How do I continue this? And that could be the scariest moment, because every time I've had a new best month, it is followed by my new worst month, because any month that follows your best month is going to let you down. Anything that happens, regardless, even if you're getting more views, like if you have May goes like normal, June is your best month ever, and July goes halfway in between, it's still going to feel like your worst month ever, because at least in May, that's what you were expecting, right? If you're here in May, here in June, and here in July, this is going to feel like you're at rock bottom. And it's this phenomenon that's really hard to describe and maybe hard to understand, but it really gets to you. And then you're like, oh, well, now everything I'm doing isn't going back to what happened in June, so maybe I'm done. It happens all the time. Oh, looks like we've got Ian's Tech here in the chat. Oh, I lost it. Okay, the first and worst product a company sent you to review. Probably about 3 years ago, a company called Chewy sent me a little like tablet thing that was like enjoyable, and I made a video on it, and I liked it for a little while, but it was not good in retrospect. I just didn't have any point of reference. It was like one of those little Windows 10 tablets. Someone asked Travis, what? Someone, of course I know Travis. Favorite Gadget Cast host? Well, I mean, obviously that's got to be Travis, because Greg hates me. We've said it before. We'll say it again. Cancel Greg. I think everyone kind of is aware of that. If you don't follow Greg's gadgets, don't. If you watch his content, it'll make you feel really bad about yourself. I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, Greg, I gotta come back on the Gadget Cast at some point. Yes, cancel Greg. There it is. I got to go on Gadget Cast and tell Greg to his face. We'll have to do that eventually. Okay, let's see here. We got some more questions in the chat. How old was I when I started YouTube? I was like, I don't think I was quite 12 yet. I was 11 when I started on YouTube. Yeah. Okay, let's see here. Do we have some more questions? Let's take a peek here at the Twitch chat. Let's give someone in Twitch chat is saying pump less content but higher quality content. That's an interesting perspective as well. Let me see if I can find that here in StreamYard so I can put that up on the screen. Pump less content but higher quality content. That is something that to some degree I do agree with, but to some degree I disagree with. It might seem weird, but I think the key, so YouTube is not filmmaking for some people. For some people, filmmaking is what they do on YouTube and they're really good at it. Like Patrick. I am Patrick T. Got to follow that guy on YouTube. It's unbelievable. So for some people, cinematic stuff, making just absolutely the most high quality content very infrequently is the way to go. But for me personally, and I think for a lot of people, efficiency and balance are really important. So if I spent 14 hours really, really perfecting every single video that I make, just getting the most beautiful B-roll, the perfect edit. If I spent all of that time, I would not be able to upload as many videos, and that would be a net negative for my YouTube channel, because no matter how big you get, unless you're like mega celebrity status, where sort of the lack of regular uploads almost makes you get more views because people savor every single one of them. But for most of us, especially down here, like below 1 million, regular content is still really important, even if it doesn't have to be 2 or 3 times a week. How to stay motivated? That's another good question. That's the key. If you invest so much time that you burn yourself out, then you can lose motivation. Greg is coming here with quite a negative attitude, quite frankly. Who is talking trash about me? I don't know, Greg. I haven't heard any trash talking going on. So I'll launch an investigation and I'll get right back to you on that one. But yeah, so a balance, I think, is probably the best way to go about it. I have a pretty solid workflow where it doesn't take me hours and hours and hours to edit, which you guys have probably seen if you've seen, my Big Sur videos or my day one reviews of Macs. I can film a video pretty quickly if I set my mind to it. Usually, I think my turnaround time for like the Big Sur video was 4 hours from end of live stream, writing a script, turning on camera, filming A-roll, filming a little bit of B-roll, editing, uploading, and it's live. Was about 4, maybe 5 hours. So that's really why is Ian's Tech canceled? I didn't realize that Ian's Tech was canceled. That's unfortunate. Someone asked, what am I studying? I'm studying public relations. I think I mentioned that. What the heck is going on here? What is all this cancel Ian Tech? Why is everyone canceling Ian's Tech? What did he do? He's not Greg's Gadgets. Come on now. If you're going to cancel anyone, direct your cancels towards Greg, because he's sort of leaned into it. He's sort of like this, I guess he's like his own anti-hero, where he thrives on controversy. That's, I think, the thing. Greg wakes up in the morning and he looks at himself in the mirror and he says, I want everyone to hate me, in a joking way, because he thrives on fake negative attention. In all seriousness, in case anyone can't tell, the beef between me and Greg is a total goof. He's probably going to get mad at me for saying this because he probably wants me to lean into it, but it's a total goof. He's a great guy and you should go subscribe to him. Someone just asked another good question. What's your favorite YouTube channel that is not tech related? Surprisingly enough, most of the channels I watch are not tech related. I love Drew Gooden, Danny Gonzalez, Cody Ko, Curtis Connor, Jarvis Johnson. Those are some of my faves. They make really great videos. I watch Linus Tech Tips all the time. That's probably, to be honest, my most watched tech channel, which might be surprising for some of you, considering that LTT is definitely not they're definitely not an Apple channel. Let's be clear about that. But that's probably the channel that I watch the most, and they really have YouTube videos down to a science. Not in a negative way, just in terms of like making incredibly high quality content and making a ton of content. Like they upload almost every day and their videos are always top notch in terms of quality. So I would say goals, but not really, because I don't think I'm ever going to get to a 10 million subscriber point where I have, a staff of people. That would stress me out. Linus might have the best job on YouTube, but I think in some ways he probably also has the most stressful job on YouTube. So that could definitely be. Okay, so someone's asking, where do you see your channel 10 years from now? I have no idea. I mean, that would be 3 times as much time as I've currently spent on YouTube. I've only been relevant on YouTube for about a year, so I really have no idea what. Oh, here we go. I like that. Everyone's out here trying to cancel specific tech YouTubers. why not just cancel everyone? Seems pretty simple. Okay, here. Advice for younger YouTubers. I mean, I was a very young YouTuber when I started making, even when I started on this channel, I was 16. So you don't need to be a professional to make good content. But I think for tech, it's okay. So here's the deal. Here's the deal. Tech content, in my opinion, is harder than some other genres on YouTube. And I want to be very clear that I'm not trying to delegitimize any YouTube creator, regardless of the content, even if it's like those like fake story time things where they just like hire people on Fiverr to animate a made up story and pass it off as real. Even the most trash garbage content like that, I'm not trying to delegitimize. I'm just saying that I think tech content is harder to succeed with than many other places. And I think the main reason for that is that with tech, because we're into tech and cameras and filmmaking and video editing, the expectation of quality is a lot higher. So when I was even about 2018, so 2018 was the year that I hit 10,000 subscribers, and I think I finished that year at around 30, something like that. So that was where I was sort of going from small channel to this is maybe going somewhere. And I couldn't really afford a ton of gear, especially considering that I was making a lot of videos buying a lot of Macs, right? So that was very expensive. And I couldn't afford like a good mic or the best setup because I was filming it in a college apartment that I had a roommate. And I would get lots of comments around that time that are just like, oh, your quality is so bad. Why don't you have higher quality? I was like, well, why do you think? I can't afford the microphone that I have now, the Sennheiser MKE 416. I could not afford that when I had 20,000 subs. Are you insane? This is $1,000 microphone. I can justify that now because I can expense it on my taxes, and it is worth it. It's a net positive, and it will make my videos more enjoyable. But I couldn't really invest stuff in my YouTube channel back then. And that is, I think, somewhat unique to the tech space where people really, really, really expect high quality content and they get like irrationally mad if you don't succeed in that. If you're not a professional production company when you have 10,000 subscribers. So that can be, I think that's the hardest hurdle to cross with tech. And also just the fact that it's saturated very heavily. There's a lot of tech channels making really great content. And, if you're starting out, just kind of reviewing random things that you can find around your house, which is what I did, it can be hard to differentiate yourself from other reviews. Product reviews are like, it's really important to bring your personality into it because there's so many of them that if you try to say, oh, well, there's like the new the Surface Duo, right? You try to make a review on that as a small content creator, you're probably going to be like, well, I don't understand. Why am I not getting views? This is a trendy topic, and my video was good. So why would I bother? What happened? And what happens is basically just there's already so many channels that cover that content that it's hard to sort of get noticed through it. And that applies to a lot of channels as well, but it's very frustrating on YouTube. I mean, I still have that experience. That's why I upload on the first day whenever there's a new Mac that comes out, because the larger channels that upload first, that directly, like the longer I wait, it is a direct correlation with a decrease in views. That's just the way that it goes. I do want to acknowledge Greg. Here's 10 for 10. Thanks for the kind words, but now I need a new enemy. So I'm going to cancel everyone in this chat. You're all canceled. Well, leave it to Greg to start out on a positive note and then ruin it by antagonizing my audience. So, Greg, some things never change. Someone's asking, how do I donate? I don't really solicit donations. If you want to do a super chat, you can, but I don't really have any other area for donations. Do I have any future plans for the channel? I mean, yes, I'm going to continue to upload videos as long as it is doable for me to do that. If there ever comes a day where it stops, people stop watching, then maybe I'll stop. But I have no plans on stopping anytime soon. And actually, speaking of sort of future plans, that's actually another interesting point that I think happens to a lot of YouTube channels. Someone earlier in the chat was asking, what should I do? Like, should I focus on one topic or should I be more broad? And that's a really tough question, because on the one hand, the fact that I started focusing on Macs is largely what led to an increase in subscribers, but it also limited me because it limits the type of videos that I can make. I would love to make PC builds. I have a PC. I'm about to build a PC, and in fact, I'm probably going to stream that on Twitch, so you should follow me on Twitch when I do that. But if I were to make a video where I reviewed the Microsoft Surface Duo, I guarantee it would be, out of the top 10 videos, because YouTube gives you a ranking of like where you place. I guarantee it would be bottom of the barrel. Anytime I try to branch out from like a MacBook, it gets way less views. And people are always confused when I say this. They're like, well, I watch all your videos regardless. But the problem is when you upload a video and notifications go out, in that first hour or so, a lot of the fate of that video is decided. So if I send out a video and people have subscribed to me looking for MacBook content and they see a Surface Duo, they're like, I'll skip this one. Or I'll come back to it later in 3 days. And that initial hour ends up having lower views, lower watch time, then it will never recover. Sometimes they'll bounce back. Like I had a comparison of the 16-inch MacBook Pro and the Surface Book 3. That video started out really bad and it kind of made a comeback and it did all right, but that's probably because it was tied into my niche of MacBooks. So it can be very limiting to focus on a specific thing, but it can also build you a more dedicated audience. My views, like compared to other channels with 200,000 subscribers, my views are pretty high. Tech channels in general tend to have a disproportionate view gain to subscriber gain ratio. Usually, tech viewers tend to be more picky about who they subscribe to, but will watch a large amount of videos. So that's something that happens all the time. Someone asked, when did I get into repairing MacBooks? Probably the first video that I started repairing MacBooks on, I actually started repairing MacBooks after I've had this YouTube channel, because my brother was looking for a MacBook and he didn't want to spend a lot of money. So I was like, oh, well, what if I buy a broken one and then I fix it? So I bought a MacBook Pro with a dead hard drive, and then we put in an SSD, and I made a video about it. And that video got substantial views compared to my content at the time. And so that sort of started honing in on the particular area where I am now. Okay, let's go here. All right, here's an interesting question. How does it make you feel that other YouTubers that appear to put less effort in gain more subscribers in a much shorter time than you have? Genuinely interested to see how it affects you personally. So the biggest mistake that you can do on YouTube is compare yourself to other people. Like, it's healthy to be a little bit competitive, you know what I mean? And sort of, look at your stats and be proud of what you've accomplished, but never look. There's always going to be that YouTube channel that's doing better than you. There's always going to be, oh, if only I was like that guy, because there's thousands and thousands of channels. So it's not helpful to compare yourself to people that are more successful, because it can make you feel kind of bummed. You can see someone upload, in your opinion, the worst piece of content that has ever been seen in the entire world, and they get 1 million views, and you're like, what? But that's just the way that it is. You can't do anything about it, so there's no point in dwelling on it. Just be the best YouTuber that you can be. Don't try to be someone else. or try to beat someone else and try to compete with them. Someone has been watching my channel. Yes, watching your channel, going, wow, that's the worst piece of content I've ever seen. Fortunately, Greg, I don't feel bad when I watch your content because I get more views than you, so it evens out. Someone said, what did you expect of YouTube when you started posting? That's another good question. When I started posting, I had no expectations whatsoever. I was like, well, I like making tech, and I like making videos. And in 2015, I had about a year gap where I hadn't made any YouTube videos of any sort. And I was like bored because I've been editing videos since I was like 8 years old, just playing around with iMovie, making random stuff and figuring out how jump cuts work. That was the first thing. I very specifically remember figuring out how a jump cut worked. And I was like, oh yeah, we got to do more of these. So I've been editing for a long time. And I had that year where I was just like in high school, not making any videos. And I was like, this is boring. So I just started making videos because I was bored. And somewhere in there, once I started going like, oh, maybe I could try to see where this goes. And my goal, I remember very specifically, my goal that I set for myself in November of 2015, I took a screenshot on my phone of my Social Blade predicted sub growth, and I saw that it was at like 1,000 subscribers by 2020 or something like that, or 2019. And I was like, I want to make it my goal that by the time I graduate college, I want to have 20,000 subscribers. That was my goal that I set for myself in high school. So set yourself a modest and hopefully achievable, but not like super easy shoe-in goal. And then you'll probably be more pleasantly surprised if you commit yourself to it. Like, obviously, I haven't graduated college yet, and I think I've exceeded 20,000 subscribers by a number. So that's definitely the best advice. Don't really set high expectations. If you start a YouTube channel and you're like, I want 1 million subscribers by this date, delete your YouTube channel. You're not going to get there, and you're going to hate yourself. You're going to be so bummed because it's so frustrating to start it out. I don't mean to be all poo-poo upon. I don't mean to like discourage anyone from starting a YouTube channel. I definitely think it's rewarding. Just it's important to manage expectations. Okay, so we've been going for, how long have we been streaming for here? About an hour. Yeah, hour and 2 minutes. So at this point, I'll stop with my sort of overbearing speech about YouTube, and we'll just field some questions. So put some stuff in the chat. No real goal. I'll just kind of answer whatever looks interesting. Here's one. How do you deal with distractions when you work in the internet and social media? Here's what I do. Working on YouTube is my distraction. Whenever I have other things to do, I do YouTube as the distraction whenever I'm done with them. It can be easy to get distracted, but I actually find that some of my most focused times. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. I'm sorry if I've missed a couple of super chats. I've been trying to get them all. But yeah, I mean, managing distractions can be hard, but I actually kind of go on like radio silence, like all media is silenced when I'm working on a video, at least when I'm filming the video. When I'm scripting or editing, I can get distracted very easily, and I just kind of set myself broad deadlines. I'm pretty decent at just like getting myself to focus on something for at least some period of time. I usually don't do a full day of just like grinding it out from dawn to dusk. I have once or twice, and it makes me super duper tired. But I guess that's what I would say to that. Where do I buy my replacement parts? Mostly on eBay. I buy most of the stuff on eBay because everywhere else is really expensive, and I can at the very least try to find a deal. Someone's asking, do you think that you could one day be like Linus, having a large staff and large subscriber base? I hope I can continue to build a subscriber base, but I personally, the idea of having employees scares me. I mean, first of all, I can't afford to hire an employee right now. I have an income, obviously, because I make money off of YouTube, but definitely not enough to spare that I could hire someone and then have that hiring of someone increase my revenue. Because that's the thing. When you're starting a YouTube channel, a lot of people think, your logical next step is hiring a video editor or a camera person or something like that. It's arguable. Are you going to be able to increase your capacity of videos to actually, make that a net positive? Because otherwise you just end up spending money to not work, which is a little bit backwards. Greg's offering to work for 10-year-old Max. I will pay you, Greg, one 2009 MacBook Pro with no RAM per year. That is my final offer. You get no benefits, by the way, and no stock options either. That's also really important. Am I ever starting a... Oh, whoop. Nope. Okay, here's one. This wasn't what I was aiming for, but we'll answer it. Do you agree that getting to 1,000 subs is harder than any other milestone? I would say actually getting to 100 is sometimes harder than that. May seem kind of weird, but at the very least, when I had 1,000 subscribers, I had a couple of people in the chat that were like regulars, and I would get a couple dozen views, and I kind of felt something. You sort of felt some connection with at least a semblance of an audience, but the run from 0 to 100, I think, can be even harder because sometimes when you're under 100 subs, it is not uncommon for you to upload a video and have 0 views or less than 10 views. And I think that's actually harder. Well, Greg, looks like Greg has accepted my offer. So I will now take ownership of Greg's Gadgets YouTube channel. I'll be shutting that down. It will now be Miani Gadgets, and it will be merged into this YouTube channel. All of Greg's revenue will become mine, and in exchange for that, I will have life rights to all of his videos and his likeness, and he will get a 2009 MacBook Pro with no RAM. I think that's fair. What happens if your MacBook Pro has no RAM in it? Well, you'll have to ask Greg because he'll be able to find out in about a year when I pay him. Hardware or software side of tech? Definitely the hardware side of tech. I'm much more interested. I'm more hands-on. I love repair and fixing a problem that I can actually see. I tried to get into programming about 6 years ago, and I lasted all of a week. I did not enjoy it. Noah Rubin, longtime channel for Noah Rubin, who you guys should be subscribed to. He's like the programming. We're kind of like the yin yang of computers, where I do the hardware, he does the software. He's amazing with software stuff. Do I promote my videos on other platforms such as Facebook? I tried to do that when I first started my channel. A lot of people, the conventional wisdom for social media is kind of build it and they will come. So I made a Facebook account, I made a Twitter account, I made an Instagram account, and I made a YouTube account. And I started, cross-posting. Every time I uploaded a video, I made a post on Twitter and a post on Facebook. And I didn't really use Instagram for it very much, but I thought, okay, if I just post as many things as possible, then people will come. But that's absolutely not the case. I personally think, for me personally and for a lot of people, Facebook is not helpful. I don't use Facebook at all. Some businesses use it, especially if you need to connect with an older audience. But for me, Facebook would just be a waste of time, and you're not going to bring in any new followers. That's the big thing. YouTube has generated my following on Twitter. Sometimes I talk about content on Twitter, and people will follow me on Twitter and then find my YouTube channel. But the growth of my Twitter account has been driven by YouTube. So you're not exactly going to draw in a whole bunch of people if you're just starting by posting on a lot of platforms. And in fact, it's probably not even worth your time. like posting. If you're starting on YouTube, maybe start a Twitter account. I think Twitter can be useful because you can interact with and connect with other people who are operating in that space and make friends and sort of get referral views and stuff like that. So Twitter, I think, is useful, but Facebook could be kind of arguable. Someone's asking in Super Chat, how often do the NVIDIA graphics fail in the older Macs? I'm not sure which ones you're referring to. I think you might be talking about the 8600M GT in the 2007 and 2008 MacBooks. Those fail like all the time. They're just as bad as the 2011s, but the more recent NVIDIA graphics, like 2012 to 2014, the MacBook Pro that has the GT 650M, the iMacs have GT 600 and 700. Those are mostly fine. There is a graphics issue on the early 2013 and mid 2012 Retina MacBook Pros. It's actually not a graphics issue. It's a vCore voltage controller module issue. So you can fix that by resoldering it. But in general, the iMacs, the NVIDIA graphics are totally fine. Okay, let's see here. Here's one. I didn't actually think of the answer before I clicked on this. I have no idea. I have no idea. Okay. I have absolutely no idea what my first sponsor was. I do not remember. I think it was probably in 2018. I think so. How do you think a new YouTuber should plan their videos? I mean, you could. I would say, if you want to start and you want to motivate yourself, give yourself some flexible deadlines just so that you can actually make yourself upload the content if you want to have some amount of regularity. I'm not saying to make yourself do 5 videos a week, but if you want to say, all right, I'm going to make a video every other week, or I want to post 3 videos this month, or 4 videos this month, set yourself that goal without compromising your quality or your quality of life, your time that you're investing in it. Give yourself some goal, because otherwise it's very easy to just put off. What do you think about 2018 Mac Mini? That's the 2018 Mac Mini is actually one of the only recent Macs that I've never owned. Actually, no, I've never owned a 4K iMac. Maybe I should do a video on a 4K iMac. Someone's asking from Twitch chat, how did your friends or relatives react to your YouTube career? Very positively. I have not had anyone. I mean, sometimes people are confused. My grandmother is confused about it. She's 95. She's honestly a huge inspiration to me. She's the person that I look up to most, I would say. Born in 1925. She's an incredible woman, and she tries to understand what YouTube is, but what really matters is that she and my entire family is very, very supportive. So I've never had anyone judge me for being a YouTuber. I also don't go around promoting it very often, because I think it's kind of cringy when people are like, I'm a famous YouTuber. I have 200,000 subscribers. You have to give me special treatment. Yeah. What do I do outside of YouTube? I'm a full-time student. I study public relations. Was there a time where you ruined a computer and just couldn't find a way to get it back right? So there was one time, I don't know if I ruined it or if it was already ruined, but I had ordered a MacBook that was completely disassembled because I wanted practice working on them. So it was like a 2011 MacBook Pro that someone had taken apart to do a keyboard replacement, and then for whatever reason just hadn't put it back together. And I put it back together and it wouldn't boot up. And I couldn't tell if I broke it or if they scammed me. I think I ended up pretty much eating the cost of that one. So that was a bit of a bummer. Definitely a bit of a bummer. So that was not what I meant. How cool am I? 7. I think 7. That's probably it. Alrighty, so let's monitor the chat here. We'll do one more question and then I'll sign off for today. I will be on, by the way, as I'm monitoring this chat. If you're watching the stream right now, go follow me on Twitch because tomorrow at I think noon. I think it's noon. Let me double check on that so that I'm not feeding you false information. The NVIDIA event, the RTX 3080, 3090, whatever they're going to do, the event is going to be tomorrow, and I'm pretty sure it's at noon. Okay, yes, it's at noon, and noon my time. I'll tweet about this. I'll post a chat on the community tab. But so I'm going to be streaming that. I don't know if I'll be streaming the entire thing because I have class at 12:55. So I'm probably going to just stream like the first hour of it. But I encourage you guys to come hang out. I do game on my PC. I've been also getting into Microsoft Flight Simulator. So I'm building a new PC because my PC is a little older. It's somewhat mid-range. It's kind of, I've upgraded it here and there. So it's kind of a patchwork quilt of upgrades at the moment, but I'm going to be building a PC with whatever the new highest end NVIDIA card is. I'm just going to build a PC with it. So I'm going to be live streaming that event on Twitch, and then I'm also going to live stream the building of that PC. So I encourage you guys to head over to Twitch and follow me. I can put it in a banner here. Okay, there we go. I forgot that I already had that. It's a ticker, but that's all right. So yes, so make sure you follow me on Twitch. The URL is down there below, or you can just look up Luke Miani on Twitch. You'll find it. So definitely do that because I'll be live tomorrow, and then whenever that graphics card eventually arrives. So I look forward to seeing everyone. Someone asked me. Here's our last question for today. Do you always wear a button-down shirt? Yes, I do. Pretty much always wear a button-down shirt. I don't know why. Couldn't tell you. So that's going to do it for this live stream. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you for being subscribed. If you're not, I don't really know why you're watching. This isn't probably interesting if you don't watch my videos. But anyway, thank you, everyone, for joining me. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you to everyone who put in a super chat. I'm sorry if I didn't get to everyone. I'll see you guys. Hopefully, I'll have a new video for you tomorrow. Make sure to follow me on Twitch. 10 years. Amazing. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one.